Hello. The other day I put up a video about Hagia Sophia and I had the most enormous amount of comments, and some really quite nasty. One person actually described me as a traitor. I thought I ought to explain a little bit and also give you another view of Hagia Sophia. I thought I'd explain a little bit about what I was trying to talk about. Let's start with the idea of King Canute. King Canute was this ridiculous man who tried to stop the sea coming into the shore. You just can't do that. In the same way, we cannot realistically dictate to a sovereign state what they do in their own territory and in one of their own major cities. It's simply absurd. We can instead, if we don't like it, we can instead look for the positive opportunities, despite the tut-tuts of people like the Pope. Now, I think there's more than just a few positive opportunities here. I think this is an incredible opportunity. Now, let's go, first of all, to a slightly obscure hadith. It's not really even a hadith. It's a story of a story of a story. This is the story which is told by a man called Ibn Abi Najib, narrated by another man in, I think in the 8th century, called Al-Zarraqi. And it's about when the Prophet sanctified the Kaaba, and there were apparently icons of Jesus and Mary, and he said, no, don't remove these. It's a wonderful story and very relevant to what is happening now in Hagia Sophia, because above, in the central apse in Hagia Sophia is a mosaic icon of the Virgin Mary. Now, the Virgin Mary is central to Islam. Of course, Islam and Christianity differ in the way they understand the Virgin Mary and Jesus. But these two characters are present in both religions. We should never forget that. There is a provision in Islam as well, very, very clear, for the private prayer of non-Muslims in a Muslim setting. Similarly, there's provision and acceptance of private prayer of Muslims in Christian churches. This is seen regularly in big Vatican gatherings, at papal funerals and so on. It's also seen in state occasions in the Anglican churches in Westminster Abbey. There have been occasions when the Quran has been read in Christian churches, most notably in 2017 on the Feast of the Epiphany, which led to the Queen's chaplain, what was his name? Dr. Gavin Ashenden. He resigned because of this. He didn't accept that this was the proper thing to do. So there is debate about this. Now, let's look at the other thing. What has changed in Hagia Sophia? It's still functioning effectively as a museum. It's still accessible to people of many faiths and none. It's still recognized as one of the great pieces of architecture in the civilized world. But it now acts again as a center of faith. This is a unique building with a long history of Muslim and Orthodox worship. Yes, an Orthodox liturgy may well be some time off, but here is an opportunity. I hope we will look back on the events of this last week and think that this was the first big step in the 21st century towards a better understanding between the Christian world and the Muslim world. If you go back to the last century, to Vatican II in the 1960s, Vatican II recognized the difference and the unity that exists between Islam and Christianity. And Pope Paul VI, on one of his more eventful travels when he went to the Philippines in 1970. And in fact, when he was there in Manila airport, there was a man called Benjamin Mendoza Flores who tried to kill him. But on that occasion, Pope Paul VI said, "We are members of the same family. We have shared values." If you go over to 2007 in Russia, in fact, last year there was a meeting. President Putin had a meeting with Islamic leaders and was very positive about our shared values. But in 2007 there was a debate and a meeting called A Common Word between what Russia calls the traditional communities of Orthodoxy and Islam. And this goes all the way back to the Mongol and the Tatar history and their influence on Tsarist Russia. So what have we got here? We can either go for a sort of managed pluralism, which is what we've had. This could become confrontational or coexistence, but it could also become deep friendship based on the things we have in common. Actually, there's another big movement which started in 1985 in America in the Orthodox Seminary of the Holy Cross School in Brooklyn between Orthodoxy and Islam. So we've got all these little movements which are looking to try and identify similarities, points of common ground between Christianity and Islam. And here suddenly we have a historical and political action which is going to, I think, have great resonance in years to come. This will be the first step towards a new understanding and a new coexistence and we hope friendship between Christianity and Islam. And that was the point of my video the other day. That, of course, is the point of this video. I'm sure there's going to be even more comments. So go ahead, leave your comments. If I've left anything out, if I've not covered anything, please tell me what else I need to be covering. And I will also try and add some comments on my blog, which I think you can find that on animatetim.com. Otherwise, please subscribe. And there's a button down here, and I believe there's a little bell down there which will flag up the next time I stand in front of you and sort of say things. I hope this has been of interest anyway.